Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing so well today. And today I wanted to do a little chat and sketch. I wanted to talk about something that I've struggled with my entire life, basically, when it comes to art, and I know I'm not alone when it comes to this, and it can come in so many different forms and struggles for, different people, and I thought we should chat about it today and, share my tips that I have learned throughout the years, and maybe we can have deeper discussions in the comments down below, so let's do it. So today during our chat and sketch, I really wanted to talk about motivation. And motivation is really strongly tied to creative stamina for me, and it's always been a challenge for multiple different reasons, which we'll see in a little bit. But today I really wanted to kind of explore on how I stay motivated and how whenever I get demotivated, these are some tips and things that I always end up doing to try and rekindle that love for art that I so dearly care for. Motivation can be very challenging in just day-to-day life for literally anything. This can be challenged by your own personal struggles in terms of health or financial things. It can also be challenged by external things like the state of the world, which is very present right now. And it can also be challenged by, people around you and things like that if you don't necessarily have the support that you need throughout your creative journey. And it can be a hard and difficult and challenging thing, for sure. Also, adult responsibilities, and, even if you aren't necessarily an adult yet, there are definitely other responsibilities that are heavy on your shoulders, especially in the type of society that we live with. And motivation for art can be difficult to handle. For some people, it's a lifeline, and I think that is absolutely wonderful. And for others, we have to work a little bit harder in order to keep that motivation for that lifeline in art. And that's okay. It is what it is, and we learn to deal with it. But let's go into it a little bit deeper now. So my own personal experience is that I've struggled a lot with my health my entire life, and the past year and a half has been exceptionally challenging as I learned to try and navigate it by myself, and try and figure out what the hell is going on. I'm fine mostly. I just have a lot of chronic exhaustion. A lot of things just really take energy more than it should. Which leaves me, at the end of the day, whenever I plan to do art and stuff, I'm just way too tired and mentally drained to even think about new creative ideas, to even be able to create and put my heart into what I create, which unfortunately I feel has impacted my bullet journal in the past year and a half a lot. Hence why I wasn't very happy with my bullet journal last year, because of I feel like I was really forcing it, and instead of just letting it happen naturally. And for some people, they say that you have to force through it, you have to try and, force through it and go through that art block. But this was a very different situation for me, as I realize now. And that's okay. I'm just not the type of person that can force through it, and, it is what it is. So yeah, health has been definitely a challenging one for me, as it really impacts my ability to create and have that energy to create and have that want to create as well, because it is very draining to be able to create as well. It's not necessarily really rejuvenating for me, as I feel like I am in a stage in my art journey where I need to be doing a lot of more studies and trying to study things and really use that mental capacity to learn and adapt. And I'm in that golden age right before the golden age of art, where you need to really put in a lot of that work and that study in order to be where you want to be. So that takes a lot of energy when I want to sit down and create, because I feel like I have so much to learn, and it can be very draining at times, because I don't necessarily have a thing that I'm good at exactly. And that's not coming from a judgmental standpoint. That's just, it feels like a fact for me. Like, I'm not necessarily amazing with color. I'm not necessarily amazing with anatomy. I'm not great at animals. I feel like I'm just okay at everything, and I want to be great at everything. And again, that's not coming from a, oh, I'm not good enough standpoint. It's not coming from a judgmental standpoint. I have that need of, I want to be good, and that's motivating to me. But unfortunately, my health makes it draining. So that's been my biggest issue when it comes to motivation, because I just simply don't feel like I have the energy to be able to learn and sit down and learn all the things that I want to learn. Other things, of course, have been challenging as well, like family and personal journeys and school and all that shift from moving out to being an adult on my own and learning to juggle all that has obviously had an impact on my life as well. But I feel like health has really been the biggest impact in my own journey. So that's how my journey has been looking in the past few years. Of course, it looks different for everybody, but if you relate, I'm right there with you. Let's get into some more tips into how I've kind of tackled these things and the 4 main things that really keep me afloat when it comes to wanting to find and keep that motivation when it comes to creation of art and things that just make me happy in general. The first one was really the most defining one for me when I, really got into my art journey, and I've really realized this year in the past couple months. And the first one is really know what works for you. This may sound really silly, it may sound very simple, but it has been absolutely life-changing for me as a realization, because a lot of people and professionals and stuff say drawing every single day was what really will impact you and what really will change your art and your skills. And sure, I agree. I think drawing every single day will absolutely bring benefits and things like that. I think that's wonderful for the people who can do that, and I'm actually very envious of the people who can do that, because unfortunately that is just simply not a thing that I'm able to do without burning myself out immediately and just creating things constantly that I'm unhappy with because I'm forcing it. For me, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, art needs to come naturally to me. I need to just, be sitting in front of the TV and suddenly just have my sketchbook in front of me, and then I'm drawing something and I end up really loving it. It's not something that I can sit down every day and force out. So as much as I would love to have that habit of sitting down every day, even for 10 to 30 minutes to just be able to sit and create something and draw or do a study or, draw literally the water bottle that is in front of me, that is just simply something that is not sustainable for me and has actually impacted my journey for the worse than for the better. Again, because of that burnout and that unsatisfactory feeling and just being so exhausted all the time. So learn what works for you. If drawing every single day does work for you and has impacted your art in a good way with good progress and good warm-ups, I'm so happy for you. That is absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that works for you. And if you're more like someone like me that needs to let it flow out naturally and just not being able to create every day, but maybe once a week or even once every 2 weeks, or even if it's just once a month, that is a-okay as well. Everybody's art journeys look so completely different, and things work differently for everybody. And simply creating every day is not for everybody as well either, and that is completely okay. So again, learn what works for you and accept that is what works for you in that moment. Things may change in the future. Maybe I'll become a person that is able to create every single day, but honestly, I highly doubt that, but that's okay too. You don't have to try and force it to be like everybody else, which I've struggled with when it comes to art, because, everybody always says, draw every single day, it'll improve you so much, try and do this, try and do that every day, blah, 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 blah. And it's just put so much pressure and so much exhaustion on me immediately that it's just never worked for me. So anyways, that is something that I've learned throughout my journey, and I've really applied in the past few months, and hence why I also decided to change kind of what I've been doing with my bullet journal for this new year, as I wanted to put less pressure on myself and simply just enjoy the process of creation instead of trying to force something that simply is not there. The second one, which I feel like is a very common tidbit of advice, is know why you started. So know your why. This looks different for everybody, but on my end, I just always loved the aspect of colors. I've always loved the aspect of creation. I love that people are able to create stories and magic and fantasy, and creation to me has always been such a superpower. I've always looked at it with such admiration and love, and it's always been so fun to see how people create things, and especially when it comes to character creation. I love how, a blank page can suddenly turn into a whole story of this person with a personality and this sense of style and fashion and how they express themselves and the expressions of emotions and things like that. And that's always been really inspiring to me. I've always loved character creation. Is it something I'm good at necessarily? I wouldn't say so, but it's something I've always admired, and that's always been something that's fueled my love for art. I love how people, continuing with stories specifically, and just like a scenery, just one simple picture or creation of a picture of just a scene already can tell so much of a story, whether there's a town or a kingdom in, the background, and there's this bunny in the foreground. Like, there's this whole story that you can create with imagination in like the creation process, and that's always been my why I love art personally. Again, it's different for everybody. Some people just love like learning the skill of art. Some people love like the color theory behind it and all those things. I've always loved like the magic and the imagination and the stories that come with the creation and that kind of stuff. So that's always been my personal why, and I think that it's very important to like sit down and assess what is your why. Like, why do you create? Is it because, again, you love the stories? Is it because it is therapeutic for you? Is it both? Is it something else entirely? So if you feel comfortable, do and share your why in the comments. I think it can be inspiring to also read other people's whys, because it just like really shares that personal connection of why different people love art in such a different way. And I think it's, again, very important to know and to connect with and to go back to, whenever you feel like you are unmotivated or lost, because that is your grounding reason as to why you started in the first place. My third tip is kind of connected to the previous one in terms of timeline, but just know where you want to go. Now, this seems like a very large concept because there is so much to learn when it comes to art, but I feel like everybody has a direction that they want to go to. I feel like everybody is pulled to a certain thing, whether it's learning a certain skill, whether it's learning a certain medium, whether it's creating a specific character or stories or those type of things, or having a specific element in their art, or creating those messages in activism or things like that. There are so many different ways that you can go with your art. And I think that's also important to pair with your why as well. Is your where fueled by your why? Like, try and make these connections. Is the where you want to go to be able to create these magnificent stories, is it fueled by your love of stories, which is why you started art? Or did you start art because you loved the idea of creating characters, and then you just want to be able to have good skills in anatomy and fashion in order to create those individuals in your art? Or is it simply that you want to focus on your different various inspirations and things like that too? So your where can be very broad, and that's okay, but I think it's also, to me, it's grounding to kind of have a goal to where I want to go. So personally, again, as I said, I love how art can create stories, and I think that's really where my where is. So just being able to create characters that have these expressions, have this sense of fashion and sense of individuality, I think that's really where I want to take my art and be able to take my art. I've always loved different artists who are able to create these individuals and have this sense of singularity when it comes to creating a character. I think that's always been so wonderful, and I think that has also fueled my need to learn deeper understanding of color and improve my skill with color, because with color you can create, again, that sense of individuality and singularity, because different color palettes can give different moods and different expressions and different tones to a person. Just learning a person's favorite color can already tell you so much about that one person. So I think that that also fuels like my need to learn different skills of anatomy, fashion, color, like all these things that I want to get better at. So I think my why definitely fuels my where in sense of creation. And I was, very happy to kind of make that connection, because I understand myself a little bit better because of that. Finally, kind of connected to the third point, I guess all of these are kind of connected in a way, but the fourth one is keep your inspirations close. The first kind of tangent related to this is your guilty pleasures. It's absolutely okay to constantly go back to your guilty pleasures. If that's what keeps you creating, that is okay. That is your comfort zone. It's okay to be in your comfort zone, to create things that make you happy. That is part of art. That is the fun part of art, Sure, being able to explore different things and doing things outside of your comfort zone is obviously so, exhilarating. Sometimes it can be scary, but going back to that comfort zone and, being happy with things that you create, whether it be, drawing cute girls in cute clothes, or whether that be drawing animals, or whether that be little doodles of silly little things of your favorite little characters or sceneries, and, maybe it's just realism of objects, or it could be plants, or whatever that guilty pleasure is, keep it close. It is absolutely okay to love your guilty pleasures. They're guilty pleasures for a reason, but I think people are always like, oh, stop doing your guilty pleasures, you need to expand and things like that. And sure, it is good to go outside of your comfort zone, but if, those guilty pleasures are taken away for too long, I feel like I personally lose a sense of self, and I just no longer know who I am in my art, and I feel like I can't do anything properly because I haven't done those guilty pleasures in a while. So being able to do those guilty pleasures just reminds you that you are capable of creation, and it can be fun, and it is fun. So I think guilty pleasures is such an important part of art. And, they can be included in every single illustration. It's your art. You get to choose what you create, So I think that's a very important aspect to be reminded of. And another inspiration to keep close are idols that you look up to, other artists that you look up to. But I think it's also very important to keep them as inspirations and not comparisons, because I feel like that is a very tricky line that is, very blurred when it comes to art. And a lot of artists fall in that comparison loophole of just like, oh, I'm not like them, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And instead, we should turn that narrative into, how do these artists go about their creation process? How do they go about their anatomy? How do they go about these different things? This has definitely been one of my main lifelines when it comes to refining my motivation for art, because it's, again, kind of connected to my where and my why, because the artists that I really look up to and love are all about character creation and being good with color and having those expressions. So one of the main ones is Greta Lusky. I absolutely love her art. She is phenomenal with color. She does these amazing hue shifts and tone shifts in her art using so many different mediums on one piece, which I never really, considered doing mixed media before, but her use of alcohol markers plus gouaches and pencil crayons and all of these things like all in one piece make such a beautifully textured and colored piece with like all of these beautiful little details, and her skills of anatomy and her style is absolutely stunning. And to me, I really look up to her style so much. I think it is so beautiful. she's definitely one of my main inspirations when it comes to where I want to be with my art and what to work on. So I look at aspects of her art and I'm like, what things can I borrow, can I incorporate into mine for me to feel more satisfied with my own art style? You know, looking from how she stylizes her bodies to the way that she stylizes faces and more specific features like eyes, shaped faces, lips, noses, ears, the way that she does hair, the way that she does her, hands, the way she draws clothes, and, different things that are also more detailed in terms of she really works out the face a lot in like a lot of details, while the rest of the body is maybe a little bit more simple and less defined. There are all of these things that I've analyzed and assessed in her art that I've learned to appreciate. And actually getting her art book, Wayfinder, which I highly recommend if you have not seen it, is actually full of little, tidbits and things about her art and her tips and recommendations as well on her own art analysis of her own art. And that book has been absolutely wonderful in terms of, learning kind of like how she goes about things and her process of learning and how she, developed into the artist of who she is today. So I think keeping that inspiration close is one of the biggest motivators that I have personally. And if you don't have anybody that you really look up to, I think I definitely would recommend you go online and, whether it be Instagram or Google or whatever, and you probably gravitate to a certain style of art, whether it be more gothic, realism, cartoony, or art deco, whatever, like all of these different various styles. I'm certain there is an artist out there who is really focused on developing that style in their own art, So if you can maybe find someone that you admire and like the way that they go about their, process of art and things like that, I think that can definitely be super motivating and interesting to kind of like assess and learn from someone. Anyways, this has been a fun and long chat. Hopefully I didn't repeat myself too much, but overall, to kind of like summarize what we kind of like explored together today is how staying motivated can be very challenging due to internal and external factors when it comes to art, and to kind of like get over that is to really know what works for you. You don't have to be like everybody else. If, your body and your mind works differently, do the system that works for you. That is a-okay. Also, remember why you started. Know your why. Know why you like art, why you started liking art, and what first inspired you to appreciate art and to become an artist and to become a creator. And connected to that, know where you want to go with your art and your creations. Like have that goal of, I want to be able to do this type of illustration, to master this type of skill. And connected to that is also know your inspirations, and is that what inspired your why as well? Know different artists that can inspire you, and have those different points of inspirations and those guilty pleasures that helps fuel your love for creation. And I think having all those things is really, really important as an artist, especially in this new age where a lot of us are being kind of like threatened with AI and AI art and just all that artificial intelligence that is unfortunately kind of like stealing aspects that we have created and then turned against us, and creating things that just aren't ethically okay. So I think it's important to kind of like find ourselves and ground ourselves in this current world of technology. And know different mediums that we are comfortable with. And it's okay to try new things, but it's also okay to stay in your comfort bubble in order to heal that inner self and to stay motivated and know why we love art in the first place. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and mostly listening. This was kind of like a little podcast episode. Let me know if you guys enjoyed these type of chats. I definitely have a lot of topics that I would love to talk about more like this, and I hope you guys also enjoyed the little sketch with me in the background as well that I didn't really talk about whatsoever, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process regardless, and again, listening to kind of like how I stay about motivated and the challenges that come with it. Things are hard out there, but you got this. I believe in you. We are here together. We got this. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys all very, very soon. Bye, guys.